What's poppin', guys? Guy Champion here, and today's video is about to be the flashiest of them all. Not that kind of flashy. We'll be doing Funko reviews on the 4 variants of Tengen Uzui, as well as the character breakdown. We have a lot of ground to cover in this video, but before we get started, I'd like to ask to please consider liking and subscribing if this video made a good impression on you, as I do pour a lot of time, effort, and a little bit of my soul in these videos. So, hopefully you enjoy. Like always, timestamps will be in the description below if you want to jump to a particular part of the video, because the Funko review is quite long. So, let's get started. We have 4 variants of Tengen: the common with a chase, the Funko exclusive, and then a younger version of it. We'll start with the standard common first. What a flashy pose! This came from his fight with Gyutaro. As the final Hashira for us to finally obtain, they did not let us down with this one. We get to see a mid-battle pose. They even added dust from the blade moving in a clear plastic piece to indicate the blade's trajectory. It works so well with this because it also supports the free-floating blade, as it's less likely to break or fall, which is reassuring to me. The fine details of this pop are super flashy as well. From all the different colors of his weapons, to the beads on his headband, the mixture of dust and a clear path of the blade from the bottom, and then moving to the stringy-like things on the back of his uniform. One last fine detail I'd like to mention is the color difference between his eyes and the eye mark. There is a slight difference, which is nice, because if they didn't, it would look like his eye is just like exploding or something. The difference is nice as it creates separation from the two. Final detail is that they made these super accessible for everyone. A lot of Hashiras you can't get anymore, or are super limited. It was sold on nearly every single site and is even currently on sale at Funko's website as of the making of this video. As the final Hashira, I figured it would be hard to obtain, and it wasn't. It was a lot less stressful for me, and I'm sure for most other collectors as well. My rating of this pop is a flashy 10. Great mold and easily accessible. Now let's talk about the chase. I'll be honest, I was hoping for a diamond version of this, as the diamond is more flashy than metallic. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw this in person, as any negative thoughts of how this metallic would look was thrown out the window. This is my favorite metallic Funko ever. This looks so good, and it accomplishes the goal of making him look flashy. This chase also stressed me the hell out. This was also a prime learning experience for me. With the drop previous to this one, the Spider Demon Mother, I missed the first 2 drops where it sold out and I never got one. I got the common variant in store, but the chase I had to buy in the aftermarket, which cost me about $100 because of the stupid fees on Mercari. So I was afraid of this happening with the Tengen drop, and I ended up buying 2 from 3 different sources, so 6 in total. The lesson learned that since this was a common drop, it was more accessible to obtain, and I didn't need to put myself in financial trouble for this drop or be stressed the hell out. I ordered more than I needed to in hopes that I would obtain multiple chases and be able to sell them to get the Demon Mother, assuming that they would be roughly the same price on the aftermarket. The Spider Demon Mother was an exclusive, so that's why the chase was so hard to obtain, as at the time it was only sold in stores and online, therefore making the chase a higher valued pop over Tengen's chase by quite a bit. So if you take anything from this video, I hope it's this. I'd rate this flashy pop a 11 out of 10. If I were to add the Shinobu treatment to this, we'll just add more flashiness to it and add diamonds to his headband. Next up is the Funko exclusive. Ladies, brace yourselves. Sexy Tengen has arrived. This came from the part in the entertainment district when he is trying to sell the girls to various houses as spies to find his wives. He is dressed to impress. He has his hair down and is most likely wearing his finest kimono. Great looking pop. This pop isn't flashy, but definitely shows how serious he really is. He's trying to find his wives, which he cherishes very much. The look in his eyes and the fact that his arms are crossed just says it all. This is a very solid pop, so I'm going to rate it a 9.9 out of 10. Oops. Sorry, Nezuko. Didn't mean to smack you like Tengen did to Owl. I can't really think of anything to make this pop better, so you guys let me know what you think could make this a 10 out of 10. And lastly, the newest ones of them all, younger Tengen. That sentence sounded kind of contradicting, but we're just gonna roll with it. Who wrote this damn script? I feel like there wasn't too much hype for this from the wave, as it was honestly the weakest one in the bunch. But to be fair, we got Gyutaro, Demon Nezuko, and an insane variant of Tanjiro using Sunbreak, so it was kind of doomed from the start. I pre-ordered all my pops from this wave on Amazon, and they had a November 1st delivery date. Then they started appearing in stores about 2 months prior to that, and I started to get a little anxious as a reviewer of these Funko Pops. So I finally caved when it came to this video, so I could actually cover this with the Tengen video, and therefore I canceled all my orders on Amazon because it took way too damn long. But this pop really isn't that bad. It's just being overshadowed by the others. The pose came from a flashback when he is at his family's grave with his wives. We don't get too many sitting poses, and I like that it wasn't shoved into a horizontal box, which is super hard to fit in my shelving unit behind me. I actually really like this pop now that I have it out of box. The blues and reds of his outfit just look visually appealing, but unfortunately that's where the nice parts end and my negativity starts. For my particular one, at a frontal position, it looked great. I always check the pops when I buy in stores to see if there's any defects or bad paint jobs, and this one to appear to not have any. Well, until we take a look at the back. There are a bunch of blue spots in his white hair, unfinished paint jobs in his headbands, and it just kind of looks like shit. So this one is going to be staying in the box permanent, especially with my final issue. With him being in a seated position, one would think that it would be sturdy. Wrong. He is quite wobbly and falls over easily. So any shaking on the floor or whatever you're setting this on, he will fall over and show you his butt. As much as I like the mold, all the imperfection on mine in particular make it a 5. It just came down to the production of this pop. It was sloppy and most likely rushed. I have not broken down any of the other new ones from this way, so hopefully they aren't the same, because then that's most likely the future of quality that we will have going forward. After that lengthy Funko review, let's dive into the character breakdown. Tengen Uzui, the sound Hashira, also the god of festivals and flashiness, or so he claims. Tengen was born into a family of shinobis. He was one of 9 children. 3 of his siblings died from rigorous training that they had to endure, leaving 6 remaining. Later, the 6 were blindfolded and forced to fight an unknown opponent to the death. Let's backtrack a bit here first. A shinobi, for those who don't know, are basically ninjas. Very stealthy, they use a variety of weapons, and are mobile and tactical. Also, Tengen's clan practices polygyny, which means that he is given 3 wives when he turns 15, and they are chosen by the head of the clan, which is his father. They would even be nice enough to try and find fitting matches for them. So, Tengen was assigned Makio, Hinatsaru, and Suma. If you want to learn more about his 3 wives, I'll leave the videos in the description, as I have covered these 3 previously. Back to the death matches. Tengen won his first 2 matches, but found out that they were both his siblings. This greatly upset him and made him angry with his father's trickery. This was done based on the belief that the strong will save their clan and the strongest will survive, which his only remaining sibling has taken a strong belief to, as he did not mind killing the other siblings. And then the time came for these 2 to have a fight to the death. Tengen refused to fight and left with his 3 wives. There is a strong theory that talks about how one of Tengen's brothers faked his death in these matches, just like how Tengen did in his battle with Gyutaro, and then Muzan stumbled upon him and turned him into a demon. This demon was lower rank 3 Wakara. He wears a scarf just like Tengen does, matching earrings as him, scars from a dual-wielding sword, and we just learned that they were forced to fight their siblings, and is in a similar shape to the silhouette in the flashback. The video I found this info from will be linked in the description, and it was a good watch and goes into much deeper detail. So go check it out. After they leave, he pushes his wives to live life by the following priorities. 1. Put their lives first. 2. Put honorable people after. 3. Him last. He cares deeply for them, so he wants to make sure that they put their lives first among everything. After his departure from the clan, he searched for Ubishiki as he wanted to become a demon slayer, and then they became demon slayers. One key thing is that once he joined, he became a Hashira before Sanemi, despite him being there first. And this was prior to Kane Kocho becoming a Hashira as well. So we are finally getting a little bit of a timeline here for the Hashiras. So hyped. I cannot wait to make a video for this in the future. Tengen became the sound Hashira, and sound breathing has 5 forms, and only 3 have been used in this series. I'll go over them briefly. First form, roar. The user lifts their 2 swords above their head and slams down with great force, causing a sound like thunder. Fourth form, constant resounding slashes. The user spins the 2 swords rapidly around themselves, providing a good defense to attacks. Fifth form, String performance. The user spins their blades at high speeds in a forward motion as they charge their target. The continuous spin of the blades allows for continuing slashes while still being in motion. Sound breathing is a style created by himself and derived from thunder breathing. If it wasn't obvious from the descriptions, he is a dual wielder of cleavers, which are basically just large swords attached by a chain. These blades are heavy, and with his raw strength, these become a powerful weapon under his control. But these are not the only weapons he uses. He uses explosive beads and kunai as well. His former training as a shinobi has really made him very strong on the battlefield. He uses all these weapons efficiently, but is also shown to be very stealthy, as he is able to approach Inosuke and Tanjiro, who are both very well suited to detect someone's presence easily. He also has enhanced hearing and echolocation. He is able to hear the locations where the sounds are coming from, such as underground when he goes to save Makio, Suma, Inosuke, and Zenitsu from Daki's secret underground lair. Demonstrates the echolocation to tell if there are any people in the buildings before he blows the damn thing up. Lastly, he creates what's called musical score, which is a technique that further enhances his sound breathing as he turns his opponent's sounds into a score. This helps Tengen figure out their patterns and gain an advantage as he's able to find their weak spots and get a one-up on their opponents. Once he is able to complete the score, he is able to take on opponents much easier. This is shown where he is holding up against Gyutaro with only one arm. One last thing that his training as a shinobi has provided him with is a strong poison resistance. This was a key factor in even putting up a fight with Gyutaro, as he used poison with his blood demon art. Before we talk about the full breakdown of the entertainment district, let's go into the beginning of when us viewers were first introduced to him. We met him at the Tanjiro and Nezuko court case, where he was excited about the possibility of Tanjiro blowing blood vessels if he were to try and move Obanai's pin down. We later see him trying to kidnap Aoi and giving her a nice little spanky. So this would be a good time to discuss his behavior towards women. It is shown that his father's beliefs are that women are to solely be used to reproduce and to make more strong ninjas, basically. Despite his father's beliefs, he still kind of shows a careless side towards women, with his wives being the exception. He forcefully tried to take Aoi against her will and then spanking her. And when asked what he thinks about each Hashira, he states that Shinobu and Mitsuri have nice hips for giving childbirth. I'm sorry, but that's a little fucking weird to say. If anybody were walking by and said that to my wife, I would probably kick their ass. Anyways, we head off to the entertainment district with the main cast as he tries to sell the girls to the houses where the wives went missing to fish for information. It is at this time when we are introduced to yet another member of Tengen's little clan, the Ninju, or known as Muscle Mouse. These are buff mice that aid him with his demon slaying and doing tasks in the smaller spaces that they have access to. This kind of just came to mind while writing this. Why didn't he just send the ninju to find the wives instead of the other girls? Like, they could literally, like, climb through walls and not be seen. It's probably for the best, as he now has help to take on Daki and Gyutaro, Upper Moon 6. The battle starts and Tanjiro is a key factor in this fight. Tanjiro helps hold him off and even saves Hinatsaru from Gyutaro's grasp. And it was at this point where he truly respects Tanjiro. Once Tanjiro gets separated and then helps Zenitsu and Inosuke, that's when things went to shit for our boy Tengen. He is left to fight Gyutaro alone and then lost his left eye and hand and then faked his own death. But one important aspect is that Tanjiro bought him enough time to complete his musical score ability and could then easily fight Gyutaro now, which leads to his beheading. Frustrated as his wives are arguing as he's trying to say his final words, Nezuko saves him by setting him ablaze and eradicating his body of poisons. He announces his retirement, and then we see him as he trains the fellow demon slayers for the Hashira training, where he is shown to be super strict. He is actually only the second known Hashira to retire due to serious injury, the other being Kuwajima, the former thunder-breathing Hashira. There's one last thing I want to bring up, and it's actually his facial marking around his left eye. I'll be honest, I have no idea what this is or what it stands for, but I do know something that it is not a Hashira mark. It is stated in the final Hashira meeting that a mark has been presented upon them, but the first bearer was not a Hashira, it was Tanjiro. Tanjiro developed this at the very end of the fight with Gyutaro as he deals the final blow, and it goes away shortly after. So therefore, Tengen would not have developed this before Tanjiro, since it all started with Tanjiro. We are also shown that is not present when he is selling the main cast to their respective houses. So if this is makeup, then he removed it or covered it up. Another debunker is that he is shown with his facial marking from the very start. Once his left eye was poked out, he now wears a flashy eye patch, and we see that the mark is no longer shown, so therefore it makes the case stronger that it was indeed makeup. But the symbolism of it can be related to his role from when he had it and when he did not. He was a fighter in the Corps and for his family clan. He bore that mark during those times. The times it was not visible was when he was in disguise and when he retired from the Corps. So this mark may have represented a particular part of his life, and now that he is retired and can live a life of peace, and now onto a new chapter of his life. So that mark could have been a representation of his fighting spirit, and not bearing the mark shows him moving on from it, though he does still shout in his sleep occasionally about going back to the battlefield according to his wives. That's about it for the character breakdown. But we're not done here yet. Here's some fun bonus facts that I cannot fit into the script in a flashy way. Tengen's original design was a skinny build, face covered in bandages, and wore sleeves so he did not get sunburned. Tengen admits that Rengoku is even flashier than he is. In the Hashira arm wrestling contest, he places himself in 2nd place. And lastly, in a short, Tengen was in a band called Chicken Scruffy, where he played the harmonica. Tanjiro was on the vocals, Inosuke on guitar, Zenitsu on the drums. Melancholy of Explosives, Sound Skin, and Modern Sense of Smell was their debut single, and it was reported that anyone who heard it became nauseous and dizzy. So hopefully this video did not make you nauseous or dizzy. If it did, I would love to hear the sound of the like button and subscribe button being smashed. That sure would be flashy. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, have a great day, and thank you for watching.